Somewhere in America this morning there is a brand new Toyota Tacoma going up on a flatbed with less than 1,000 miles on the odometer. The paint is perfect. The engine is fine. The transmission quit. And the man who bought it will wait up to 4 months for a new one, because Toyota will not hand him a transmission until the one he paid for finishes dying. Now here is what General Motors mailed out to its dealers when their trucks started shuttering. Flush the transmission. Put different fluid in it. That is the repair. That is the whole repair. And according to the lawsuit, General Motors' own engineers went to the company and said they could fix it for $305 a truck. The company said no. So you got the fluid flush instead. $305 is what your transmission was worth to them. And 4 companies are running this same play right now. General Motors, Ford, Ram, and the one you are least going to want to hear, Toyota. 4 transmissions that have nothing to do with each other. Different engineers, different suppliers, different countries. All failing early, all at the same time. That is not 4 accidents. That is 4 symptoms. Now I owe you something straight about the title, because you clicked on new trucks. 3 of these 4 are not in new trucks at all. That General Motors 8-speed went out of production in 2019. Ford's 2 big recalls cover trucks built between 2014 and 2017. The Ram unit goes back to 2007. So is this old news? It is the opposite of old news. Those are the ones that got recalled, and they only got recalled because they had years to fail out in the open where everybody could count them. The transmissions in the trucks sitting on the lot this afternoon have not been called in at all. Ford's 10-speed has been under federal investigation for years with no recall on it. Toyota's is a bulletin. The new ones have not had their turn yet. And you can find the cause yourself in about 30 seconds. Go out to your driveway tonight, pop the hood on your truck, and try to check your transmission fluid. On most of these, you cannot. There is no dipstick. They took it off the truck on purpose. And the reason they took it off is the reason your transmission is going to die before the truck does. Stay with me, because I will tell you exactly which transmissions I would still hand my own money over for tomorrow morning, and there are more of them than you would think. To understand why the new ones are dying, you have to understand what you used to own. A truck transmission from the early 90s had 4 gears, sometimes 3. Big, heavy, cast iron case. The clutch packs inside were thick, the passages were wide, and it was swimming in about 12 quarts of heavy red fluid that did not mind getting hot. And it had 2 things your truck probably does not have. It had a dipstick so you could look at that fluid anytime you wanted, and it had a drain plug so you could change it. That transmission expected you to take care of it, and it told you how. Now look at what is in a new truck. 8 gears, 10 gears. In some of them 10 forward speeds packed into a case no bigger than the 4-speed it replaced. Every gear you add means another clutch pack, another set of passages, another solenoid, another thing to hold pressure. More parts, same box, tighter tolerances. The fluid got thinner because thin fluid costs less energy to pump. There is less of it in there because less fluid weighs less and drags less. And the torque converter, the part that used to slip a little and take the shock out of everything, now locks up earlier and at lower engine speeds than it ever did, because a lock converter burns less fuel than a slipping one. So the converter clutch is now riding right on the edge of grabbing and slipping, at low speed, under load, with thin fluid, in a hot box. That right there is the shudder. That feeling like you just drove over rumble strips on a smooth road. That is a clutch chattering. And every time it does it, it grinds a little more of your fluid into paste. And then they sealed the whole thing up and told you it never needs service. Now every one of those choices came out of the same room. The extra gears, the thin fluid, the low fill, the early lockup. Every single one of them moves the number on a government fuel economy test. Not one of them makes your transmission live 1 mile longer. That is the real reason. And you are getting it right now instead of at the end, because everything you are about to see is just that one decision showing up in 4 different parking lots. Let me show you what it got us. Start with my own company, General Motors, and the 8-speed, the 8L980 and the smaller 8L45. Built from 2014 through March of 2019. If you own a Silverado 1500 or a Sierra from 2015 through 2019, or a Colorado or Canyon from 2017 on, you may already know exactly what I am about to describe. You let off the gas at 40. The truck shudders. Or you pull away from a light and it hesitates, then bangs into gear hard enough to rock the mirrors. Owners took it in. The dealer said they could not duplicate it, or that it was normal for the design. General Motors wrote 13 separate service bulletins on the shifting alone. 13, and according to the lawsuit, not one of them actually fixed it. The lawsuit says the fluid itself was the problem, that it could not hold up to moisture, and that it lost its friction properties over time, so the clutches stopped grabbing clean. So the fix became a flush. Drain the fluid, put in a different fluid, send the man home. Now put that next to the $305. Engineers inside the building said here is what it costs to make it right. Company looked at $592 million, which is that same $305 a truck just written out across every one of them, and picked the flush. That case is still alive. It got class action status back in 2023. It survived General Motors trying to get it thrown out last year, and the appeals court is still working through it right now. Anybody who tells you that is settled and done has not read the docket. Now Ford, and Ford is its own kind of story, because Ford has recalled the same trucks twice. June of 2024. Ford calls back more than 550,000 F-150s over the transmission. That is more than 500,000 driveways, every one of them getting the same letter in the same week. The problem is the truck losing the signal that tells the computer how fast the output shaft is turning. Lose that signal and the truck can drop itself into first gear. Not downshift. Drop into first. At any speed you happen to be traveling. If you have never had a truck slam into first gear on the highway, what happens is the rear tires stop turning as fast as the road is moving under them. In a light truck with an empty bed, that is how you end up pointed the wrong way. Ford's fix was a software update to the computer. Then this past April, Ford came back and recalled 1.4 million more F-150s, built between March of 2014 and August of 2017. That is 2.5 times the first recall, on the same truck. This time the computer loses communication with the sensor that tells it what gear you actually selected, and it can drop itself into second. First gear in 2024. Second gear in 2026. 2 years apart, 1.9 million trucks between them. That is nearly 2 million families who got a letter about a transmission that picks its own gear, and the same basic story both times. A sensor talking to a computer, and when they stop talking, the transmission chooses for you. And here is the part that ought to bother you more than either recall. The 10-speed, the 10R80, the transmission in the newer F-150s, is sitting under an open federal engineering analysis, covering roughly 1.7 million trucks, from 2017 through 2022. That is almost as many trucks as both recalls put together, and not one of them has been called in. Harsh shifts, gear hunting, shudder, sudden downshifts. Federal investigators upgraded that file years ago and it is still open. No recall on it. Not one. Just an open file and a couple of class actions. The older transmission gets recalled twice. The newer one gets investigated and nothing happens. Now RAM, and I want to be straight about this one, because RAM is not on this list for a recall. RAM is on this list because there is no recall, and there never has been. If you have a Ram 2500 or 3500 with the 6.7 Cummins, you may have the 68 RFE behind it. That transmission has been going into those trucks since 2007 and a half. The Cummins is a wonderful engine. It makes an enormous amount of twist down low, and it will do it all day. The 68 RFE was never really built for that much of it. The overdrive section is the weak spot, the torque converter runs hot and can balloon under a heavy pull, and the valve body has a reputation for going soft on line pressure. Hook a trailer to it, or put a tuner on it, and you find the edge in a hurry. Now there is no federal recall on it. There is no class action over it. The big Ram lawsuits are about emissions and about brakes. Nobody is coming for this one, which means every dollar of it is yours. A built 68 RFE behind a Cummins runs $5,000 to $8,000 in most of the country, and men are paying it at 120,000 miles on a truck that cost 80 grand. If you are shopping a used Ram heavy duty, ask which transmission is in it. The Aisin unit is the stouter of the two, and it is worth hunting for. Now Toyota, and this is the one that put a knot in my stomach. The whole reason a man pays a premium for a Toyota is that Toyota is supposed to be the one that does not do this. The 2024 Tacoma, the brand new one, the redesign everybody waited on. Owners started reporting the 8-speed automatic dropping itself into neutral, stalling out, locking out of gears, sticking in high gear with barely enough power to get off the road. Some of it inside the first 1,000 miles. Some of it before the first oil change was due. Toyota did respond. They sent dealers a bulletin with a list of specific vehicle identification numbers, and they are replacing transmissions. But read how it works. Your truck has to fail first. You cannot walk in with a truck on that list and get ahead of it. The transmission has to actually break before you qualify for the new one. And once it does, owners have been waiting up to 4 months for the part. There is no recall. It is a bulletin. So a man buys a $45,000 Toyota. The transmission lets go at 900 miles, and he sits without his truck through most of a summer waiting on a box that Toyota already knows is coming. That is Toyota now. 4 companies, 4 transmissions, 1 fuel economy test underneath all of it. So now let me give you the part I held back. Because it is not really about gears or fluid at all. It is about that word they put on the box. Understand what sealed for life actually means, because nobody ever says the second half of it out loud. It does not mean the fluid lasts forever. Fluid still cooks. It shears down, it oxidizes, it turns from clean red to burnt brown, and it stops holding the clutches the way it did at 10,000 miles. Sealed for life means sealed for the life of the warranty. They are not lying to you. They are just measuring life differently than you are. You are thinking about a truck you want at 200,000 miles. They are thinking about a truck that has to get to 60,000 without a claim. An engine they could downsize and lean out. A transmission they could not make much smaller. So they filled it with more gears and less fluid, and took away the stick you used to check it with. Same pressure, different part. So what can you actually do about it? First, go find out tonight whether your truck even has a transmission dipstick. If it does, you are luckier than you know. Warm it up, park it level, and pull it. That fluid should be clear and red, and it should smell like almost nothing. Brown means it is cooked. Burnt toast means you are already late. Second, if it does not have one, it still has a check port underneath, and any decent shop can pull the plug and read the level. It has to be done with the fluid at the right temperature, so it is not a driveway job for most folks. But it takes a shop 20 minutes and it is worth doing. Third, change the fluid anyway. I do not care what the manual calls it. Every 60,000 miles on a truck you drive normal. Every 30,000 if you tow anything or you live somewhere hot. Get the fluid your truck actually calls for, not whatever the quick lube has on the shelf, because these things are picky now in a way they never used to be. Fourth, and this one matters more than the other 3 put together. If your truck shudders, or hunts for gears, or bangs into one, do not let anybody tell you that is normal for the design. Get it into the dealer while you are still under warranty, and make them write it on the repair order in words. Not fixed, not could not duplicate. The actual complaint, in writing, with the date and the mileage. Because when one of these finally turns into a lawsuit or a recall or a warranty extension, and a fair number of them do, the man with a paper trail from 30,000 miles gets taken care of. The man who mentioned it once and let it go pays for his own transmission. And here is what I would still put my own money on tomorrow. The Allison behind a Duramax has earned every bit of its reputation, and I would buy one this afternoon. The Ison in the heavier Rams is a stout piece. The old 6-speed behind Toyota's 5.7 V8 will outlive most of what is on a lot today, and the ZF 8-speed in a Ram 1500 has been one of the good ones since the day it showed up. So there it is. 4 truck makers, one story. The transmission, the part that used to come with a stick so you could look after it yourself, quietly turned into a sealed box that nobody expects you to open and nobody expects to last. I am not telling you every new truck is junk. I am telling you the part they stopped letting you check is the part that is failing, and that is not a coincidence. Now let me hear from you. What is the highest mileage you have ever put on one transmission, and what was it bolted behind? Drop it in the comments, because I read them. And if a dealer ever told you a shutter was normal, tell me what happened next, because those stories are the ones other folks need to hear. And if you want the whole thing in one place, I put together a book called The Right Ride. It covers the buying traps, the maintenance that actually matters, and the trucks I would walk away from. I am not going to hard sell you. There is a link in the description if you want it. Either way, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Check the fluid they told you not to check, folks. This is Frank.